Welcome to the first installment of the advancement series for the Wizard. This is going to be focusing on the Delsere's Magnum Opus set. The reason for that is that it's, in my opinion, actually a really cool set. In the current patch, it's generally accepted that Talrash's is the strongest Wizard set, so I kind of want to just shine a little bit of a spotlight on Delsere's. It's a new set, give it some love, and show what we can do with it. So for the build, we are going to be using 6 pieces of Delsere's. This will not be using a Ring of Royal Grandeur, so we are going to be using all 6 pieces. To complement that, you have a few different options as far as weapons go. If you have a good Sunkeeper, that's an option. If you got a good Ancient Azure Wrath, that's also an option, because we are going to be focusing on colds here. If you don't, what you can do is just craft an Utar's Roar, because it will always roll with cold damage. Just keep crafting them until you get an Ancient one. That's probably the easiest way to go, and you can get a decent amount of damage that way. To complement this set, we're going to be using a Witching Hour Belt, because it's going to give us all the best stats. Here you have Infit, attack speed, crit damage, also really good. We are going to be using the Focus and Restraint, and I'll go into why a little bit more on that as we go into the actual skill build, but this build works perfectly with Focus and Restraint. Strong Arm Bracers are probably our best choice since we are going to be using Black Hole, so we will be able to use the Strong Arm effect pretty often. And to top things off, we are going to go with Triumvirate for this build. Mine is not amazingly well rolled, but at least the unique part is, and what that is that our signature spells, in this case Magic Missile, increase the damage of Arcane Orb by between 75 to 100% for 6 seconds, and that stacks up to 3 times. That can actually make our Arcane Orb extremely strong, which is super nice. As far as Paragon Point distribution, this is pretty standard stuff. Just make sure your movement speed is at 25%. I have 10% from items, so 15% here. The rest is going to go into int. Crit damage, crit chance, attack speed, then cooldown reduction last. Not super important on this build. For defense tree, all resist first, then armor, then life regen. Utility, I don't know why I have 1 point in gold find, but apparently I do. In any case, we want resource cost reduction, area damage, then life on hit, and gold find. And let me just fix this real quick, because that's interesting. Don't know why that 1 point was there. Okay, gold find, obviously not important. For the actual skills, primary, because we are going with a cold build, Magic Missile with Glacial Spike. A, it's cold, but B, it also gives us a nice little bit of crowd control, as we will be freezing things, which is helpful. Again, the build does focus around slow time. That is what the Delsere's build does. Again, in case you didn't get it before. Casting Arcane Orb, Energy Twister, Magic Missile, or Shock Pulse. In this case, Magic Missile and Arcane Orb are the ones we're right about. Reduce the cooldown of slow time by 2 seconds. Doesn't even need to hit anything. You can literally cast it at nothing and it will still reduce the cooldown, which is nice. Enemies affected by slow time take 2000% weapon damage every second, so it's got a nice, good slow burn on there. And then enemies affected by slow time are going to take 750% more damage, in this case Arcane Orb and Magic Missile both. So that is really nice because it's a huge damage increase. So for slow time, we're going to go with the Exhaustion rune. Because we are using Focus and Restraint, that means we don't have the defensive stats of the double unity. We also don't have the same level of survivability as Talrash's users. So we need some survivability here. So this particular rune means any enemy that's in our slow time bubble is going to deal 25% less damage, which is very helpful. Arcane Orb, Frozen Orb, pretty obvious. It's not the highest damage Arcane Orb when passing through things. However, if they do hit at the end of the explosion, which you can see here at the end it explodes, it actually is extremely high damage. Black Hole, Absolute Zero, again the cold rune for it, which is also really good because each enemy hit by the Black Hole increases the damage of cold spells by 3% for 10 seconds, which can stack up nicely if you do it inside of a big pack of enemies. And also a little bit of crowd control that works with our Strong Arm Bracers. We're going to go with Energy Armor to increase our armor by 35%. And also the Force Armor rune, again for survivability, because we are squishy, things can easily deal more than 35% of our life in one hit. So this reduces anything that would down to 35% of our max life. And finally, Magic Weapon Conduit. Magic Weapon's really good because it gives us just 10% flat damage increase. And anything that we hit restores up to 3 arcane power. This is important because we do want to be spamming our spells as much as possible, particularly the arcane orb. If, for whatever reason, you find you do not have any issues with arcane power, Force Weapon is definitely another way you could go. There's actually a few different ways you can go with all of this, particularly on the passives. Glass Cannon is big, just a 15% damage increase is a huge damage increase. Obviously 10% lower armor resistances just means we have to play more carefully. Blur will help that with that a little bit. We'll take 17% less damage. Again, Unstable Anomaly for protection. We are probably going to die a little bit, particularly in this video. I haven't spent a lot of time with this build yet, and I'm used to a more aggressive build because I've been playing mostly with the Barbarians, so I'm probably going to die a few times, so this is definitely going to help with that and make sure we don't spend too much time dead. And Astral Presence, again, because Arcane Power is a thing that we need to be concerned about, so it's going to increase our Arcane Power and Arcane Power regen. Other options for things, if you want to get a little crazy, Cold-Blooded is an option. Deal more damage. I've been playing around with the Evocation. I don't think you really need it. The cooldown reduction is nice on the Black Hole and Slow Time, but it's definitely not required because Slow Time is going to be coming back up pretty quickly anyway. If you want something that you can really play around with for fun, it's probably not the best thing, but Arcane Dynamo is actually a lot of fun in this build because we are switching back and forth between Magic Missile and Arcane Orb, so we're going to be able to stack up Arcane Dynamo really quickly, which means the next Arcane Orb does an extra 60% damage. So only because we don't have a 5th passive slot, I'm not using it, but I had played around with it a little bit, and it's actually a lot of fun. In any case, so that's that. That's pretty much the build. So you can see why it works with Focus and Restraint, since we're constantly going back and forth between Magic Missile and either Arcane Orb or Black Hole. So let's get started here. Like we did with the Barbarian Advancement Series, we are going to start on Greater Rift 35. Again, it's not super high, you know, this isn't 50 plus or anything, but it is high enough that there's certainly some challenge to it. And it is, you know, still, again, Torment 6 is about Greater Rift 25, so it's 10 higher than that, so it's still a decent challenge. I will put the disclaimer out there that my gear is actually not amazing. A lot of my stuff is not optimally rolled, but it is what the game has seen fit to give me. But I think it's going to be good too, because it's going to show that you don't need the perfect gear in order to be able to make this set work. So let's go ahead and open this rift and get this started. As soon as my computer sees fit to allow me to do that. Okay, there we go. So we're going to get this rift started here. Again, it's pretty much cast Slow Time, Magic Missile, and Arcane Orb, and just pretty much spam your stuff. You just constantly want to be using your abilities. You want your Slow Time off cooldown, because the thing about this build is that when things are inside of your Slow Time bubble, you actually do kind of insane damage to them. When they are not inside of your Slow Time bubble, your damage is fairly subpar, actually. So you can see how if I get just a little bit too far forward, my life just kind of disappears. So yeah, that's kind of the thing with this build. So you'll see pretty high numbers as far as damage goes when they're in this Slow Time. You can see anywhere between 500 mil to 1 billion crits is pretty normal. So it's a super high damage build, which I really enjoy. Obviously the CC, there was just under 900 mil. The CC on the Slow Time bubble really helps with survivability when played correctly. Again, I'm not playing it perfectly because I am used to playing the Barb where I can get a little more reckless, so I just have to play a little smarter. But you'll see that it's very easy, very simple to keep up the Focus and Restraint buffs at all times because you're just doing it naturally. You don't have to think about you know, well, I need to keep up my Focus and Restraint. It's just going to happen because you want to be casting Magic Missile and Arcane Orb constantly anyway. So get pulled in by this pack here. They're actually not inside of my Slow Time, so I need to cast another bubble. There we go. And now that they're inside of it, look at that pack go. It's down. This one had shielding, so it got to live a little bit longer. But there was just over 1 billion on that crit. So the damage output of this build is potentially extremely high. And that's one thing that I really like about it. Again, you do have to be mindful of things that can jump on you. This isn't a pet build, so you don't really have anything to tank for you aside from, you know, your Templar buddy, Mr. Cormac. Outside of that, you're pretty much on your own. So that's always, you know, something you have to be aware of with any focus and restraint build is you're not running double unity. So your damage output is significantly higher, but you are at greater risk. So here's another pack, put them inside of my slow time, and there they go. Oh, that one lives like 2 health, but yeah, so there you go. So it's actually incredibly quick, and that's what I really love about this build. Once you get something inside of your slow time bubble, you are just going to melt them. You definitely have to play a strong zone control game. That's really what it comes down to, is play inside of your slow time bubbles. There's a conduit here that's not conveniently placed at all. Outside of your slow time bubble, you are not very strong, and things are not going to take a whole ton of damage. Inside of your slow time bubble, you are going to absolutely wreck things. So it's very much about the zone control. You have to be aware of where you are and where the enemies are. So this isn't just a, you know, don't even pay attention and just, you know, face roll the keyboard and you win kind of build. You need to be very aware of your surroundings. But if that's the kind of thing that appeals to you, because, you know, different people play for different reasons. And even when I'm playing, there's some days where I really want to get into it, and then there's other days where, you know, I'd rather just kind of sit back and watch things die without me having to do a whole lot. You know, it just kind of depends on, you know, your frame of mind. But this is the kind of build where you really need to pay attention to what's going on. But if you do, it can be extremely rewarding. So you just got to keep it inside of the slow time bubble. And what's nice is that while slow time normally has a long cooldown, because of the Delsere set, it's actually up very frequently. Again, every time we cast Magic Missile or Arcane Orb, even if it doesn't hit anything, we'll still reduce the cooldown by 2 seconds on slow time. So it's beautiful. So you can really see the difference on damage output when things are either inside or outside of the slow time. So, as I said, it's very much a zone control game. And if you're playing quickly, like if you're really, you know, trying to maximize your effectiveness as far as time goes, like real world time, you can have 3, 4, maybe even 5 slow time bubbles up at once. If you're really going for it. One way around that, and it's something I didn't talk about in the build part of the video, is as far as weapon choices goes, Gesture of Orpheus greatly reduces the cooldown of slow time. So that would make one consider, well, maybe that's, you know, best in slot weapon. I don't think it is. And the reason for that is because you can get slow time back so quickly without it. I'd rather have, you know, a Sunkeeper for elite damage, or the Utar's Roar or Azure Wrath for the cold damage. I don't feel that Gesture of Orpheus is actually necessary. If you feel like you're not getting your slow time back quickly enough, then sure, Gesture of Orpheus is an option. But I don't actually think, despite the fact that it's the only weapon that interacts directly with slow time, I actually don't feel that it's the best option. So, not recommended unless for whatever reason you're having trouble keeping slow time bubbles up, but I don't see any reason why that should be the case. So, obviously we're looking pretty good as far as Greater Rift 35 goes. Things are looking pretty solid right now, which makes me very happy. This is actually my first attempt at 35. I had not, again, I'm pretty new to this build, so A, I'm not going to be playing it perfectly, and B, I haven't tried this yet, so I'm pretty happy with the way this is going. I'll keep that channeling pylon for the Rift Guardian, so I don't accidentally click it. That'll definitely be nice to have. So we're actually just about there. for the Rift Guardian. Just kill a couple more things and this thing will spawn. There we go. Let's do this. What do we got? Stone Singer. Oh, well, that's easy. It's like not even fair. Also, those of you watching my Barbarian video, when I forgot that I had Rend, I have forgotten that I had Black Hole this entire time and have not been using it. So again, that would probably affect the speed as well. So there we go. Finished the Rift in about 7.5 minutes, which is a bit slower than what we did with the Barb, but there are a few things that would contribute to that. Again, the fact that I forgot that I had Black Hole. I have this problem where I just hone in on like the most essential skills to the build, which in this case is Magic Missile and Arcane Orb. But in any case, there's that. Again, my newness to the playstyle is also a bit of a factor. Also, it might just be slightly weaker, but I'm not going to state that with certainty yet. We're going to see how this advancement series goes. You can look forward to at least a couple more videos. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions about the build, questions that aren't, why aren't you using Tal Rasha, because I explained that already, but any questions about the build, skill choices, anything at all, definitely leave a comment, and I will do what I can to answer any questions you guys have. So hope you enjoyed, and should be probably Monday, I think, will be the next video in the advancement series, so hope you guys come back for that.